All right, you guys, this is take two. Can you hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. Somebody can hop on and let me know if you can hear me any better. Huh? Can you hear me?
I do.
I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to my peeps here. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Can y'all hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. It's good now. Yay! Okay. Woo! I don't know what was going on. Let's get back going here. Alright. Okay. So basically, before I stopped the last video due to sound difficulties, I put on my backings, and we're going to set the sign to the side and let it cure for a bit while we start working on this. I'm going to put it down here, I think. Hi, Linda, Tracy, welcome back. Thank y'all for letting me know we had some major audio issues before I got too far into things. Alright, I pulled, here's what I typically do when I start a floral wreath. I always, well, not always, most always, but like 9 times out of 10, I'm going to start with a base of ficus. I use 2 different kinds. I use this kind, and then I use a lighter color with some variegation in it, but I don't have any of those right now, so we're going to use these because that's what I've got. And then I just pull a bunch of things that are the same color palette that I'm going for, that all kind of match, and I kind of let it see how it evolves. So I'll show you some of the things that I've pulled here besides the ficus. And I am not going to use everything in here. They're just options that I have while I'm sitting here working. So I've got some, let's see what these are called, some coleus hanging bush. I've got some fern variety. This is eucalyptus. Some heather. Some more just like fern. I don't think it's got a specific name. Yeah, just a little type of fern. Some white filler flower. Some really cool, I don't even know what this is called. Mini bell bush. But it's really beautiful in its colors. I don't know how well you can see this. It's got like purples and greens and yellows. It's really pretty. Almost some blues. Hi, Marcia. Got some greenberry picks. Some lavender. Just some greenery with white tips that we can use as filler if needed. Some more color coordinated, just like white airy greenery. I like to use a lot of this. That's the style that I like. It's just the wild, natural, field of wildflowers feel. I don't think I'm going to use these. But, and then I've got these gorgeous hydrangeas. I love this color combination. Hi, Kathy. So glad you ladies are here today. All right, so now that I've shown you everything we possibly could be putting in here, we're going to scoot it all to the side for now and start layering our pieces in one by one. Really wish I had something lighter than these, but we're gonna go with it. So these I did get at Hobby Lobby. They are just the base, so I don't have a problem ordering these online either. Typically, they're just fine. So I cut each one down into 3 pieces. Usually I only use 2. Sometimes I use part of another. It just depends. So I just take it, like I said, I split it into pieces. There's 3 veins here, so I make it 3 pieces. Okay. Now, usually I'll start with one of the smaller pieces. And as you always see me do, I kind of give it a curve to whichever way I'm placing it. Let me get some glue sticks here. Okay. So I come in up here at the top, kind of on the top a little, not right face forward, but kind of right here. And I insert this way. Okay? So that gives a little bit of a curve this way. We're starting to shape our wreath by laying this base of greens. Now I will come next to that piece with another shorter piece. So where are my 2 long pieces? The long pieces were the main vein that runs up the center, and then the shorter pieces were the 2 offshoots. So I'm going to take another piece, and as you can see, they're cut 2 different ways. We've got this bottom one, this piece is going this way, this bottom one, this piece is going this way. Okay? So I want to take the piece that's going this way, because what I'm trying to do, like I said, is create the shape of the wreath. I've placed one piece here. Now this next piece is going to go this way. And I just did that backwards. Didn't I? Yeah, I did. Okay. So you want it on the opposite side, sorry. And I'm going to bend it to the wreath this way. Okay? So basically we're coming in like this. Okay? Same placement, kind of on this upper lip area. There you go. Well, I'm glad you could make it for the first time, Carol. If you have any questions, just let me know. Alright, so since we're working on the left side of the wreath, you're going to take another piece that has the bottom one here going to the left, and you're going to come out this way. Now the reason I do that is because, one, we're trying to create the shape, but also, you know, we want to fill this in as well. We don't want a bunch of stuff right now coming into the center. We want it flowing out to the outside. So I come up under this one, like so. Now, depending on how far you're going down with your florals as to where you would stop. If you're doing a small one, say you're doing a smaller sign. Do I have one over here? Yeah, we've got this one. You're doing a smaller sign and putting it here or something. You know, you're just going to do florals here. You can stop here and then move on to the next step. But our sign, what did I do with it, is a little bigger. So I think we're going to come on down with it. I think we're going to do all the way down with a bunch of bows. Let me look at this a minute. Sorry, I didn't really decide on a design before I came in today. I'm going to come down one more. Okay, so we've got one more piece here with the bottom branch to the outside. We're working on the left, giving it a little bit of a bend. So we'll come up underneath that last piece. And lay this one in. Just like that. Got glue strings everywhere. My fan is blowing across my glue skillet. Alright. Alrighty. I'm going to save this one and this one for later. We might still fill in with them later, but for now we don't need them. I know I had, where's it ties I thought? Ties, where hold on. Alright, the next thing we do is we're going to do a bow, and then we're going to place our big flowers. Oh, come on. Okay. Now, as you can see, I've saved kind of like a space right here. That's where my bow is going to go. If I'm doing just the one bow, it'll go here. If I'm doing a big cascading bow, it'll go here. And I'll swag the ribbon down to here and then make some tails. Now, I was really messy with the glue over here. If you get really messy with your glue, don't sweat it. We can cover it with moss. Alright. Ribbon. I brought out 3 selections, but I wasn't real sure if I would use all 3 or just one or what exactly I was going to do. So here's the sign. I brought a 1.5 inch taupe and white stripe, a 1.5 inch lavender Swiss dot. It kind of pulls from the dots in the boots, and then a burlap with kind of a white fringe edge, or I mean a white fuzzy edge. I can't talk today. Now typically when I do a big bow and I swag it down, I don't do a bunch of different ribbon selections. I usually use like a 4-inch ribbon, like say something like this, and just use the one. But this didn't really go with it. I didn't really have a ribbon I liked in 4-inch. It was all just like, eh. So I think we're going to go with this. I talked myself into it sitting here. I don't know if you've got the question in the back of your head. Yes, I always put down this layer of greenery first, no matter what. It is my first step. All right, Linda, have a good one. So we're going to start with our 2.5 inch on the bottom. I haven't really decided how I want this bow, y'all. So we're gonna go with that. We're gonna do 16. This is heavy duty stuff. My achy hands. I hate working with it, but it sure is a pretty ribbon. Goodness gracious. Alright, start again. My hands are really achy today, so I don't know if any of you suffer from RA or just arthritis in general. Some days, it's just hard to make a bow. I feel like I'm getting one side longer than the other. I was. Okay. Alright, so I did 4 loops. This ribbon. Okay. I believe they're about the same size. I think we can move on. But remember, what's going on down here at the twist, the center of this ribbon, that dictates how well your bow opens. So I like to make sure it's doing good things. It's just this burlap ribbon is so thick, it's so hard to maneuver, but it's gorgeous, so I use it. Alright. Then I trim another tail, about the same size, a little longer. I give myself a little excess, you guys know that. Alright, then I'm going to put the Swiss dots, because I separate the colors. So we've got brown, purple, brown. Again, I just give a good length. I'm not measuring the tail. So I did 16 on the bottom. We're going to do 15 on this one. Maybe. You good? No. You good? Okay. Alright. Let me get this put in my bow holder. And we'll trim a tail. 1 second, y'all. My husband's calling for me. Okay, sorry about that, y'all. Okay, so I go down, I hold down the center with one finger, and I come down here and I make sure everything's all nice and straight. And then we're gonna come in with the stripe. So we did 15 on the last one. We'll do 14 on this one. So each ribbon, I'm just coming in 1 inch. See how much easier and quicker I can work with this little stuff? I'm going to put another layer in there, I think. Yeah, I'm going to do that, and I think I'm going to put another purple layer in there, actually. Yep. Okay, where's my scissors? I like some really long tails, and I have 50 yards of this ribbon, so I don't mind cutting a little extra off for these. If I don't use it, I won't cry too bad in the end. Okay, so I'm going to put it in on top. Alright, now I'm going to come in with just, ooh, that's spliced there, isn't it? Yeah. With a tail. Is that enough for tail? I think it might be. We'll just trim that and stick that in there. Okay. So to bring in a little more of this ribbon without adding bulk to the bow, I'm just adding a tail. It was a piece where they spliced the ribbon together, so instead of wasting it and putting it in the trash, we made good use of it. I'm going to do one more little tail. I don't know why I'm dovetailing these first, but so all I'm going to do is crisscross them in here. Just like that. Oh, come on. Whoa! This ribbon's so thick, it's got my bow maker spread so far apart it doesn't want to hold the bow. Alright, last piece is this 1.5 inch. Again, we're going to do just a little bit of a tail on this one. And we're only going to do 3 loops, I think, and come down to 13. one look better, you think? No, it's got to be the 3. It's a 3. Sometimes I do 3 loops on the center, sometimes I do 1. Alrighty. Okay. I think we're pretty much good. Now, I'm going to slide a pipe cleaner underneath. You can totally put this in at the beginning. I always forget. So I'm really careful when I pull this out of here, especially when I've used this big, thick, angry ribbon. So basically I just keep it squeezed really tight in my fingers. I don't know why I didn't just use a zip tie. You know what? I'm just going to keep going with what I'm going here. If I let it go, I might lose the bow because my hands hurt, so. I have to extend my pipe cleaner though, because I didn't think about the fact that I was using the thick ribbon. So I'm just adding a little bit of length to each side of my pipe cleaner so I can attach it to the grapevine. Okay. So now, here's where our bow is going. We're going to take that pipe cleaner or zip tie or whatever you use to tie your bow. Oh, holy smokes, it's right there. So when I can't get things to go through, there's this lovely little piece that you thread the pipe cleaner through and then just punch it through the grapevine. It's like you thread the needle and then push the needle through and pull it through and it pulls the pipe cleaner through. Brilliant. Alright. Easy. Gonna tie this pretty tight so my bow don't flop. Just like that. Right, now I can go through and separate the bow and get it laying where I want it to before I start putting in the rest of the stuff. I'm going to glue that part back down, I think. Set for a bit. And when I'm fluffing my bow, I go all the way down to where it's tied, and I twist and pull from there and separate, because that's how you get your bow to open pretty and the tails to lay proper. Beautiful. Alright. So I'm gonna just roll these. Thank you, Kathy. I am not the fastest bow maker in the world. I nowhere close. But they don't always turn out bad. So when I roll the ribbon, instead of dovetailing it, I always fold a little piece under like that. It stops the wire from coming out. It also gives a nice finished edge. This burlap ribbon is more of a, I'm going to do my own thing and not listen to you kind of ribbon. So we may end up dovetailing those ends. We'll just see here in a minute. We might swag that down and then add a couple more tails down there. We'll see. But for now, I'm going to let these hang, and we're just going to work around them. How we're looking on our side. Yeah, I think we can go ahead on our side. Get it on there. So bloom where you are planted. We'll have to place these tails. Bloom where you are planted. So here and here. Okay, we're going to attach the top part first. It's just easier that way. Come down and attach the bottom. Alright. Holy cow. Got a sign on in a good spot the first time around. That hardly happens. Normally I have to take them off and place them a couple of times. But I think that's pretty good. Yep, I think so. Now we're going to work on the big flowers. So, I don't always use the big leaves that come with the hydrangeas, and if I do, I might pick them and use them separately, just because they don't always lay right in a design. And if I pick them separately, I can put them where I want. And then if I don't end up using them, then they go in a bucket or bin, and they get used for covering mechanics on the backs and stuff like that. So we're just going to cut these down. These are the worst for cutting with sore hands. My husband sharpened my cutters and I'm still puny. Now I save good, nice, thick sticks like this because they might come in handy down the road for mechanics. You never know. Alright, so I didn't take off the two little leaves up near the flower head. I just took off the big ones on the stem. So I work in 3s or 5s when it comes to the big focal flowers. With hydrangeas, they are so large typically that I usually only work in 3. Unless you find some of the ones that are the smaller heads, and then you can put 5 small heads in and not overcrowd a design. I'm just getting my 3 hydrangeas here cut down and prepped. I cut the little nubbies off the side if I've pulled the leaves off because the nubs are big. Okay. So since I work in 3s with these big hydrangeas, we are gonna put 1 up here, 1 here, 1 down here. Now these typically require a little bit of extra security with a zip tie. So I take it, I go ahead and I bend the stem a little. Figure out where I'm going to place it. Right about there, and then we'll go in with the zip tie. We're probably going to have to fluff the bow again later, and that's okay. But I don't take any chances with the big hydrangeas or anything with a big flower head like sunflowers. They're always going to get zip tied in and then hot glue. Because over time they can tend to droop, especially in warmer weather. So I zip tie, and then I come in with my hand glue gun and layer some glue in around it. And I will cover any of that that's still visible at the end with moss, so it's not going to be seen. Alright, here we go. Now, after you've gotten it glued in, if it needs to be moved, once it dries, you can bend your head and shape it however you need it. But let it get a good bond before you go bending. Okay, so the next one, we're going to place out here to this side of the bow. We might do something a little different. I think I'm going to place 1 up here and then 1 down here. Yep, that's what I'm going to do. Where's my stool? Alright. I'm going to place 1 kind of up here. Behind the bow. Oh, it needs to stand up more. Ooh. So this one, I'm gonna just stick straight down in, so it stands at the proper height that I need it to. Like that. Let me step down and look while I'm here. I'm not sure how I'm going to get that zip tie in there, but we're going to make it work. I'll wait before I go bending that head. And then this one again, we'll bend it. And I bend it so I can like weave it in there, and the head's like sitting up instead of squishing flat against the frame. We may take this piece out and make it a smaller design. I'm really digging this. We'll see. There's a big old stick stuck in there, and it's in my way, so I'm going to pull it out. See that big old stick that was in there, and it was keeping me from pushing this where I needed. So it's okay to pull it out. Now, a trick I want to show you, when you're working down the side, when you're placing flowers in, it's still better, in my opinion, to place them in this way and bend your head down. If you place them in this way and your glue starts to, you know, get soft, over time, things might work their way down, but if they're placed here, they're not gonna scoot. Because you've got the crossbars where the big wide vine that binds the grapevine. You have that as your, I guess, like a shelf that this will sit on, so it's not gonna scoot down. I think I can bend this one now. So pretty already. Where'd this tail come from? It needs to go up there. And we're going to cut this one a little shorter. I just cut that the wrong way. Slow down, Melissa. Okay. Now I'm going to take a step back and look and see if I'm going to continue. I have more. I wonder if I should make more. Thank you, Marsha. See how, like, we can totally go even bigger. I don't hate that, do y'all? So, as you see here, we could do 3 and do a small design, or I think we're going to go for it and do the big one. Yeah. Why not? Okay, remember, go down, or go from the top, not the bottom. You've got a vine here that'll act as your shelf. Alright, so when you're placing the big flowers, you want to step back and look and make sure you're keeping your line with your flowers. You don't want this nice little even line and then a flower to be way out here and you take your eye off of the circle. So continue around, kind of evenly spaced and in an even circle. Okay? Now this bottom one, we are going to go in from the bottom just because we have no choice. We're at the bottom. So sometimes I have to like put my finger in and separate some of the branches so I can actually weave my piece in. But I do what I got to do. Okay. Trying to bend this. Alright, also if we're going to swag the ribbon before you put this last flower, you've got to figure out where you're swagging to. So let's do that. Now here is where all of those little pieces that I saved, that I cut off the ends, here's where they come in handy. I picked a long one, so I'm just cutting it down a little. I make a little makeshift U-pin. Put a little glue on it. Figure out where I'm swagging the ribbon to. And then I use that to secure it into the wreath. So I don't have to use a U-pin. It's just another tip to save money. We throw all those ends to, you know, picks and sprays away, but I use them if I can. Alright, so I just swag that up a bit. We'll add some more tails here at the bottom, at the end, to kind of beef that up a little bit. Unfortunately, this burlap ribbon just doesn't curl or roll very well, so it's, you know, going to be just like, you know, tails, dovetails. Sorry. Alright. Now that we've swagged our ribbon down, then we can place our last flower. It's usually going to go right about where that ribbon swags. So that's why we go ahead and put it in first. And I'm going to go ahead and use a little bit of glue to get this flower in. Like that. Ta-da! So what are y'all thinking so far? Well, hello, Nancy Lynn. You're never late. You're right on time. I don't work super fast, so you've got time. Get a drink. Now I'm going to take all of these leaves that I pulled off the hydrangeas and just kind of stack them together and set them to the side, because at the end we may pick some of them and fill in. But for now, we're just going to hang on to them. I have to go back and put some glue on these other hydrangeas. So let's do that before we move on. Alrighty. A little bit of glue just dropped on my hand and that was hot. Did you eat your Lunchable, Bubba? Yeah? Okay. Yes, honey. It's in the refrigerator. Eat it before you eat those. Yes, sir. Go. I'm going to go ahead and also cut off these pet cleaner ends to the side. Now in cases like this where you can see the cable mounts on the back, I will go put some moss and cover those pieces. Okay? So far we don't have an ugly back. Alright, moving on. You're welcome. Alright, so let's pull out some of our pretties here. I really like this piece. So this is on a wire. I didn't mean to bend it that much. Alright, so that's going to be perfect. I'm going to wait and put that in though. I need to get my other layers. It was just a pretty and a shiny and it caught my eye and it was like, oh wow, pretty. Okay, so the next thing that I'll layer in is some of the light and wispy that's going to finish out the outside perimeter of our wreath. So, because that's the style that I like, is that light and airy and flowy, and this is the kind of greens that I tend to go towards. If you didn't like that look, you could totally stick with something like these, and maybe some eucalyptus, and just make it simple. But I'm going to add a little bit of pizzazz with this. This kind of greenery is something that you can use to take your piece from simple to big and wow and over the top. And I just go around and I place it. Woo! My mats are slipping, they're uneven, so I've got a wonky surface back here I'm stepping on. So you see I'm just going around the perimeter. And see how this one little addition of this airy green changed the whole look of the piece. Added some pizzazz. You don't have to add a whole bunch, just a little. I think we're going to leave it with that, and we'll come back and add more if need be. And we may work on some of these tails lengthwise. We're going to move on. Alrighty, what else did we want to put in there? Here's a little bit of this. I wanted to put in the heather, just because I like that with the chartreuse. And I also liked the berries, but I don't know if we're going to use those. So we need a little bit of white in here. I'm going to pull just a couple of these. I don't want to overwhelm it with white. Also, I will add that I typically don't use the yucky looking greens that come on some of these. I will actually throw them away. I add enough other green that I don't need the green that cheapens the look of my piece. But and I'm cutting these really long because I want them to stand out above and beyond some of the other things I've got going on. As you see, I'm not putting these in all the same direction because wildflowers don't grow in the same direction. Does anybody have any questions? Let's look at that. I think we need a piece down here. It's all about really balancing what your eye sees. one more piece of this. There we go. I think we've added all the white flowers that I'm going to add. You're learning a lot? Well, thank you. I'm happy. Sometimes I get all caught up in what I'm doing and I forget to teach. So sometimes I'm so uber focused. I'm not a real talkative designer. I try to be. I don't know. I'm just trying to iron out the last of what we're going to put in here, because in the end I pull a lot of supplies, yes, but I don't use them all. I never intended to use them all. I just bring them for inspiration. I kind of like these. And I don't think I'm going to... Those are downright cute, ain't they? Oh, that's just stinking cute. I think we can work a couple of pieces of this in. I think it's only going to be 3, like 2 long and maybe a small. We're just going to fill in some pieces, like some areas. Yeah, I think that's nice. Got glue stuck to me. I don't know if I like that there. We're going to pull that back before it solidifies. Yeah, we're going to put it in the back down here. We're going to come underneath down here with this. Just like that. So see, now remember, we're going to have a few more tails down here, okay? So that'll kind of reside a little bit behind the tails and give a base for a couple of those tails to lay on. Where'd the other piece go that I cut? Another piece here. I didn't really like it there in front of that flower. That was... Maybe it just doesn't need any at all. Maybe that's what it needed right there. Up under that. Yep. So up under the bow, we're going to put this piece. Okay, what that's going to do is hold up this side of the bow, this bottom side of the bow a little bit, and those tails that we've got coming down, and then it gives a little bit of depth because we've got some greenery in the back 40 here. This is just really getting on my nerves. so far? What do you ladies think? I think she's gorgeous. I think a couple of these smaller pieces that are up in here, I can pull them through the design and make it look uniform. See, like this, we can put some coming out of there up top. No, I don't like that. It covers up my hydrangea. So, let's see where did that actually look good. I like it there, but we need a longer piece. Thank you. Thank you, ladies, so much. We're not going to add much more to it. She's almost done. You don't want to overfill. So, a little bit more up there. What else do we have here? Hello, Dawn. How are you, hon? We need another small piece up there. Put a little piece of that coleus bush in the bow. Let's see. Need just a little bit more. We're done with this. Do we want to add a little more purple? We could add a little more purple, I think. What about these? Those aren't bad. That's not bad either. I don't hate that. But I like these, I think. It's in the refrigerator. Oh, good job, baby. I'm just going to go in and fill in the holes with some of this lavender. If you see any holes where you can see grapevine, you can fill in with this kind of stuff. What, 2 more pieces on here. Never-ending glue strings. Where'd that other piece go? I know I just had one more piece, didn't I? Oh. There it go. Alright, where does it need to go? Alright, sweetie. Wow. I think she's just about done. Trying to decide if I want to add any of these last little pieces in. As you can see, I always pull way too much. Before I put my flowers here beside me, I would have to run back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I hated doing that. Yeah. No, I love that wispy texture. Come on. Stuck my finger right in the blade. So all of this is on wire, so you can make it stick out however you want. Just going to put 3 of these pieces in. I think we might be done. I always have to stand back and look one more time. Oh wow, this one's so pretty, y'all. So pretty. I wonder if I need one more piece right there. I think so. Where'd she go? Where'd she go? Right here. Little piece. Yeah, right there. Casey, I use a combination of my hands and a Bodabra, but I don't use the Bodabra in a traditional way. I kind of make my bow in my hand and then I stick it in there and then I build the next layer and the next layer. So I do like a layer bow in it, but I mean, I guess essentially it functions the same way as like in the Easy Bow Maker or the, what is it, the 4-in-1 from the Pro Bow. They all function kind of the same. But I do use a Bodabra. I have a Pro Bow. It's right here under my table. I don't use it a lot though. I say I use the Pro Bow more when I'm like in a flare with my hands, or when I'm doing tree topper bows, you know, big stuff like that, I'll use it. But typically I just do the Bodabra. Alright, I think we're done. Okay, I'm calling it quits. Thank you. Yeah, layer by layer. It's just, it makes just the difference to me. I don't know. I like the way they look. Alright, ladies, what do y'all think? Did I take some of the mystery on how to create it out of the process? I hope I did. I didn't start teaching Grapevines until I started in this group with you guys. Used to, I would only teach, you know, like deco mesh and stuff. I did the Grapevine in my private time. So I'll learn to teach it better and explain more about what I'm doing and why I do it. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you so much. And we didn't use a whole lot. We used 5 hydrangea heads, which I got on clearance for $2.50 each. We used a little bit of ribbon, the sign. I used half a bush of these wildflowers. I used 1 whole bush of this airy greenery. I used 1 whole bush of the lavender. I used a quarter of the hanging coleus bush. I used a quarter of this, what's it called? Mini bell bush. So I didn't use a whole lot of anything. I didn't need like 6 picks. You know, I know the designs y'all see me do. In Christmas, we're using whole big picks, you know, and shoving them in there. This is a little more intricate where you get more controlled placement of your pieces. So when you do that, you don't have to use as many pieces. I mean, granted, using the whole picks is easy, it's quicker, but I don't know, for my eye, this is what my eye enjoys, because when I look out into a field of wildflowers, this is what I see. Flowers out here, flowers down deep, you know, things going this way, that way, and that's what is comforting to me. Alright, ladies, I appreciate you hanging. Oh, wait, I just realized we didn't put the tails. Hold that thought. We got to finish the tails. I'm about to jip you off from the tails. Right, the tails is not a big, huge mystery. Since this brown does not curl well on its own. I'm not going to do super long tails because they won't curl right. Okay, all I do is I take a little bit of floral wire and I gather my tails. Like so. Okay. I take that floral wire and I wrap it as tightly as I can to form like a little nub. Doesn't have to be fancy or pretty. Then there's my tape. Right here. Then I take a little tape and just seal it down. Okay, like so. And I'm going to take and get glue on the tip. And I'm going to come up under where I need to put the bows and just, or the tails, and just stick it into the frame. I use my thumb to push it in there good. Almost done. Okay, very nice. Okay, so once I get it in there, I'll take and I'll spread things apart a little bit and curl or dovetail. I like to do a mixture of both, and it really only ever depends on the ribbon that I'm using. If it curls great, I like to curl it. If it doesn't, I'll dovetail it. There we go. All done. Now, I'm going to turn my stuff off because we're going to be leaving the house. All right, ladies, we are done. We got the tails on there. I might add just a little piece of something up under there because where's the ficus that I cut? Yeah, so I'm going to add a little bit of something up under the bow here because you can see some of the mechanics. So I'm going to take this ficus that we already had cut. So that'll help hide the mechanics as well as push the swag part of the bow that we did up forward a little bit. There we go. Beautiful. Okay. We're done, ladies. I'm done. time out called. Alright, I'm going to go with my family to have some hot cocoa and do a walkthrough Christmas lights thing tonight. So I will see you guys. I am going to probably come live tomorrow, but I need to talk it over with my husband and make sure of a good time. I'll post it in the group later, but it will be the makeup from last week when I was sick and I had to make up. So I'm going to try to get that done for tomorrow. I just don't know exactly what time yet, but keep an eye on the group and I will make a post later. Have a great evening and I'll see you guys soon. Love y'all. Bye.